Next up, we will take up Chairman Craven's bill, 5346, and I'm going to pass the gavel over to my vice chair.
Thank you, Chairman Solomon. So we're going to move to House Bill 5346 by Chairman Kravet. It's an act relating to commercial law. It prohibits third-party delivery services from using any likeness or intellectual property of a merchant without written consent, and it will require a third-party delivery service to register to do business in Rhode Island. So Chairman Craven, as you say, the floor is yours. Chairman Craven? If you need to unmute.
How am I doing now?
Oh, we can hear you.
Great, thanks. This bill's idea came to me from the Association of Restaurants here in Rhode Island. And I'll give you the best explanation because that's what moved me to put the bill in. It was, you have, I don't want to name a name, but some version of a third-party service that you call up and say, I want to get a meal from Capriccio. And so then they deliver the meal, and it's 3 hours later, and it's cold, and it doesn't taste very good. And as a result, they get a bad impression, so to speak, of the restaurant and not necessarily the delivery service. Well, some of the delivery services advertise themselves as delivering from different restaurants and chain restaurants in particular. And they do so without any permission to use the likeness or the registration, trademark, or any of the intellectual property belonging to that restaurant. And you'd say, well, any publicity is good publicity. Well, in this instance, if they receive a bad meal that wasn't taken care of on the ride over, and the restaurant has a right to decide who they do business with and who they don't do business with. So in order to preserve the reputation of a restaurant, and we were just talking about that, Representative Chippendale was saying spoilage is a complete waste of money. It is, unless it's really spoiled, and I'd rather save the money and not eat the food, because that's when the bad things happen. And that is a terrible thing to happen to restaurants. This will require those third-party delivery services to register and to have a signed agreement with the restaurants they do business with. I think it's the only fair thing to do in this world of delivery services, and I suspect that given my two sons who are in their 20s, I think they order most of their meals from delivery services. They don't see the need, especially in COVID, to go out to restaurants. So this is not something that's getting less frequent, it's getting more frequent. And I would ask that the members of the committee consider the plight of these restaurants and require that the third-party services that deliver take the same time and attention and in respect for the name of a restaurant and the product of that restaurant, because it's hard to get a reputation and easy to learn it, to earn it, to lose it rather. So thank you for your opportunity to talk.
Thank you, Chairman. Are there any questions for Chairman Craven? I cannot see the people who are at home, so if someone who can see them can let us know if they have a question. No. Okay, great. So we have 4 witnesses signed up to testify on this bill. The first witness we have is Sarah Bracko from the Rhode Island Hospitality Association. Sarah? Hi, Sarah. It's Justine Caldwell. The floor is yours when you're ready.
Thank you so much. As you stated, my name is Sarah Bracko here on behalf of the Rhode Island Hospitality Association. And we first want to thank Chairman Craven for his leadership on this issue. It has been a top priority of ours for several years, and due to COVID, the need for this legislation has only intensified as our industry and our customers have become more reliant on takeout and delivery. To go back just over a year ago, the same committee heard testimony on this legislation and was actually posed to pass it out of committee right before the General Assembly went on recess due to the pandemic. The basic premise of this legislation is simple. It prohibits third-party delivery companies from profiting off of the name, brand, and reputation of small local restaurants without their consent. Over the last several years, complaints about third-party delivery companies have become one of the top issues we hear about from our members, but during COVID, this has only become more of a problem. In December, a large order was placed with the Providence Sandwich Company via phone call. A delivery driver from a third-party delivery company came to pick up the order, but because the third-party company had the incorrect pricing on their website, the delivery driver did not have enough money, and they ended up leaving the restaurant without the food, and they left the restaurant with an unpaid bill. In June, a woman placed an order through a third-party delivery company for a burger from Trump, who I believe you all heard from a few weeks ago on the CCAT bill. Unfortunately, that third-party delivery company had the incorrect menu and was offering a burger on the menu that Trump had never actually offered. When her order was canceled, that customer called the restaurant complaining, threatening to leave a bad review, and saying that the restaurant conned her into placing an order for an item that didn't exist. When a local restaurant told one of the third-party delivery companies to remove them from their website, they also stopped taking phone orders from California, which is where these companies are located and where the orders are placed from. The company then started working around this by sending their delivery drivers into the restaurant to place their orders in person to circumvent the restaurant's efforts to implement the orders. When that same restaurant went to the third-party company and requested to have their name removed from their website, the company directed them to an online form, which was the only way that the company would take the restaurant off their website. But in order to do that, the restaurant had to give out all of their personal contact information to the third-party delivery company, who then used that valuable data to solicit the restaurant. So we've submitted written testimony that goes into greater detail on the frustration felt by our industry. This is not a new topic, so I do want to be respectful of all your time. But I did want to highlight that we have been working closely with DoorDash and Uber Eats to find an amenable solution. And with our written testimony, we submitted some proposed amendments that we hope that the committee will consider. So with that, I'd like to thank the committee and be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Sarah? No one online? Everyone is good? All right, so our next witness is Melina Pagan. In favor?
That is Melina.
Hi, Melina?
Anyone have any questions?
Melina?
Yes.
Hi, you're in front of the House Committee on Corporations. You can go ahead with your comments.
Hi. Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Melina Pagan. I'm the owner of Rebel Artisan Bagels and Little Sister, both on the east side of Providence. I've been battling this issue with the food service company since 2018. They all have a habit of listing restaurants without their consent. They solicit us aggressively. We've been really explicit in letting them know that we don't want to have a partnership with the delivery services. We've even gone as far as to write a whole blog post on our website, and yet they still send drivers our way. And, you know, being a female business owner, it's really threatening to have angry delivery drivers coming into my shop and arguing with me over why we won't let them place an order. So, you know, for me personally, I feel very threatened, and I feel very helpless to not be able to, you know, refuse business with other businesses that I don't want to support. And when I call the companies to try to remove our listing, sometimes I can't get it done myself, even after calling several times. And the only thing that will work is sending a strongly worded letter from a lawyer, which is something that becomes another barrier for businesses that don't have that resource. So I think the food delivery services should definitely be restricted to working with businesses that have provided their consent. And I support this legislation, and I thank you all for introducing this.
Okay, thank you, Melina. Does anyone have any questions for this witness? Whip Kazarian?
Yes, I would just like to thank you again for coming to speak to the committee. We really appreciate hearing from the small businesses, and you've been able to put the problem in perspective for us, so we do really appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, with that, we'll move on to our next witness, Councilwoman Nirva LaFortune. Councilwoman?
Hello?
Hi.
Yes?
Hi, it's Justine Caldwell. You're in front of the Committee on Corporations. You can go ahead.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, yes?
Perfect. Good evening, Chair Solomon and the members of the House Corporation Committee. I'm here today, this evening, in support and to urge you to pass House Bill 5346 regarding third-party delivery service applications in the state of Rhode Island. As you are aware, many of our local businesses, especially restaurants, are struggling to get through the restrictions of the COVID-19 pandemic and the corresponding economic downturn. While third-party delivery services have proven to be a great way for local restaurants to keep up some level of revenue, it has become clear that these services are not always working in the best interest of the local restaurants. As it stands, there is no requirement for third-party delivery systems to notify local restaurants that their likeliness and menus are being made available through the third-party application or website. This creates a situation in which third parties may be profiting off of a restaurant's sales without restaurant's knowledge or consent. By inserting themselves between the business and the consumer without prior authorization, these third-party delivery services can contribute to negative customer experiences at the expense of the business without ever having to notify the business owner of the application's involvement in the transaction. House Bill 5346 rectifies this situation by requiring that third-party delivery services get consent from local restaurants before advertising the business on their applications or websites. This simple step empowers the restaurant owners to consciously choose whether or not they would like to engage with these outside companies. This bill does not prevent third-party applications from operating in the state of Rhode Island, as it simply requires them to recognize local restaurants as business partners rather than a means to an end. Passage of this bill would put restaurants back in control of their own products, services, and marketing, while still allowing for the convenience of third-party delivery for consumers. I am currently the lead sponsor advocating for passage of an identical ordinance at the local level for the city of Providence, and I applaud the sponsors of House Bill 5346 for seeking to codify this requirement throughout the state of Rhode Island. As the House Corporation Committee deliberates this bill, I ask you to keep local businesses in mind. They are the foundation of our city and our state, and it's important that we support them. Please pass this bill with the knowledge that it will give these hardworking people a renewed empowerment that is sorely needed during this difficult time. I truly express my gratitude to those who have sponsored and supported this bill, and I thank you for your time and consideration. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your experiences with us at the municipal level. Any questions for the Councilwoman? No? All right, thank you. With that, we'll move on to our last witness, who is Frank McMahon. Hi, Frank.
Representative?
Hi, you're in front of the committee. You can proceed.
Great. Thank you very much, Vice Chair Caldwell. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the House Corporations Committee. This is my inaugural virtual testimony before your committee. I represent DoorDash, and as Sarah Bracko mentioned, we have been working with Sarah. In fact, as Sarah also said, this was the last bill heard right before you went on break. We worked with her closely throughout the early days of the pandemic to try to make sure that DoorDash was meeting the needs of the small businesses and the restaurants here in Rhode Island, and a very successful program was rolled out. We've been working with the Hospitality Association of late. We provided some language that we would like to see in the Sub-A once that becomes a topic of this committee, but we're very confident that we're going to be able to get to a resolution, and we're able to take care of some of the issues that I think some of the restaurants, some of the smaller restaurants have been concerned about with some of our competitors as well as us. And we're looking forward to working with the Hospitality Association, the sponsor, and getting that sub-A before you. So with that, thank you very much, and happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Frank. Any questions of Frank from the committee? With that, I think we can conclude the hearing on House Bill 5346. And welcome back Chairman Solomon.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Caldwell.